Hello, 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 hello. Let me turn this up a little bit. Hold on. Hello, 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 beautiful people. Hello, 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 beautiful people. Hello, 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 beautiful people. Hello, hello, grab your seats, beautiful people. Grab your seats, grab your seats. It's beautiful to see everyone in the room today. Greetings, greetings. First, I want to welcome you to the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation, the birthplace of Malcolm X. If you are new here, welcome, and also happy to see the returning faces, a family reunited. Behind me, you hear Brother Shabaka drumming. Thank you so much for being here. All right, I want to start off, as we do in tradition, honoring those who have come before us. But first, we will begin with a brief moment of silence as we remember those who have transitioned. Thank you. Now that we have centered ourselves, obviously I am happy to celebrate Malcolm's birthday today, May 19th. It would have been his 98th birthday today. And we have a very important 2 years coming up. So I have some announcements to share with you about that. Next year will be his 99th birthday, which we will in tradition have a celebration here and induct Malcolm X into the Nebraska Hall of Fame. There's an example of a bust that might be similarly designed in the back, donated by Marcus Hammett and his family. We have 3 finalist artists who are all from Nebraska. We have Pamela Conyers Henson, we have Littleton Austin, and we have Nathan Murray. So if you see them in the community, just congratulate them as they're getting ready for a big opportunity. I also wanted to share a couple of other thank yous for people who are here, and I want to recognize the caterer. House of Ba will be providing the lovely, yummy food that I cannot wait to eat myself. So as soon as I am done speaking, I'll confirm that the buffet line can start for that, and then we will begin the panel. After the panel, we will have community awards and celebrate some of the great people in this community who tirelessly give and make sure that this is a warm and welcoming city, that there's space for activists, that there's space for people who are doing the underground work to be appreciated and supported. So I'm going to have someone announce those in a little bit, but I just want to thank everybody for congratulating those folks as well. All right, I'm trying to make sure, a couple more important announcements. So we have a new sustaining donor program that's not new, we're just bringing it back. But if you are able to contribute just $1 a day, you are officially a sustaining donor, and you will be able to get a commemorative Malcolm X pin. So just consider that as an option, but you can still donate any amount as well. But in the table in the back where the TV screen is where you can do that. And then we have T-shirts available as well for donation. Come on up. All right, I want to really quick introduce the event committee because they did the most, and I'm so grateful for their help. I want to see if who's in the room that I can just point out. But first importantly, our stage manager, Doriette, in the yellow dress. Thank you, Doriette, for being here. Doriette's in charge when I leave, okay? Then I want to introduce Morgan Price. Are you in the room? Morgan's in the back. She's our board vice president. Thank you, Morgan. Also, Terry Crawford is on our board as well, and on the panel, and doing the reentry panel on Sunday. Who else? I can't see. Corinne is in the back. Wave your hand, Corinne. Volunteer George is at the registration table. Where are you at, George? Okay. George is a PhD student at UNMC and has really been helping out. So, all right. And then the design and decor was done by Andrea Joy, and I think she stepped out, but congrats, she did a great job. Okay, so I have one more announcement. I unfortunately cannot stay for the luncheon today because I have to get on a plane to go to New York for the Shabazz Center Malcolm X celebration. And originally I was just trying to be in the room, y'all. I just wanted to network and make sure that we develop a strong relationship with the family and the foot soldiers out there. And then I got a surprise that I will be getting an award called the Vanguard Award. So I'm going to receive that. Thank you. Well, I'm glad I didn't put my makeup on already. But I just want to say thank you, and I look forward to seeing the rest of the event live streamed. And then I have here Shamika, who's our director of tours. Again, I'm glad I didn't put my makeup on. But Shamika also works tirelessly here, and so I'm going to have her introduce the next set of speakers, including the panel moderator and the panelists. And then again, oh, and my baby here she is. So after that, we'll have a brief intermission. And then I encourage you to mingle and network with each other. And then the awards will be given to the deserving people. We have 6 awardees, 5 categories, and they are all very well deserving. So after that, y'all can be here as long as you want. I won't be here to kick you out. All right.
Thank you again to Joanna. Joanna has been an amazing executive director. She has came in and put order and class and beauty, and we truly appreciate her sacrifices. She's had a new baby during this journey, and she still shows up tirelessly as the executive director here. So once again, thank you to Joanna. Congratulations. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for your constant support of the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation. And it's crazy to see so many different faces in the room throughout the years, through thick and thin, through the good and the bad. You've been here. And so we really appreciate you all. Every one of you are important. Once again, thank you. All right, so she mentioned the food catering, the event sponsors. If you are an event sponsor of this particular celebration, if you could raise your hand or stand. Anyone here? No? Okay, all right. Well, we thank them for their contributions. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce the panelists. Recognize clergy. Any clergy in the room? Clergy in the room. If you could stand, please, so we can see you. Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for your work. A lot of people don't know that the word minister literally means to serve. That's what it means. And so every minister you see in here is being a servant of their community, and we appreciate your service. Okay. Elected officials. Any elected officials in the room? Or previously elected officials? There you go. There you go. We like to thank them for their service as well. Everything you see here today is because of those who paved the way for us in the past. So we appreciate you. We want to give a happy belated Mother's Day. So any mothers in the room, please stand. Truly, without mothers, none of us would be here, right? The universe has made it appropriate for new life to come through our mothers. So we thank you for your service. Motherhood is sometimes the closest to death a woman comes. And I don't think we appreciate the sacrifice that mothers go through and take so that our children can be here. So thank you, mothers, for all of your work. Okay, y'all, I think I did everything I was supposed to do. All right, introduce panelists. If the panelists could approach the stage, please. And we have seats here for you at the table. And I think we may be missing. Okay. Panelists, Dr. Franklin Thompson served as a 4-time elected representative for the Omaha City Council from 2001 until 2017. He then served as the Director of Human Rights and Relations for the City of Omaha from 2017 until 2022. You can go ahead and have a seat. All of our panelists can come have a seat at the table. Thank you. Dr. Thompson's main focus in life has been social justice and working with young people. He served as an educator for 46 years, 30 of those at the collegiate level. Please excuse us, I'm not sure. That's fine. Oh, okay. And 16 years at the secondary level. Thompson earned a doctorate in educational administration in 1997. He is currently an associate professor in the College of Education, Health, and Human Services at the University of Nebraska at Omaha. Dr. Thompson has recently joined the ranks of celebrated Nebraska authors with the November 2022 release of his autobiography called Confessions of a Murphy's Law Child. It is an in-depth look at what it takes for citizens to overcome child abuse, racism, poverty, learned helplessness, wow, okay, and dysfunctional political bickering, okay? Dr. Franklin Thompson, if you could please stand or raise your hand so we can acknowledge you and your work. Thank you. Professor Terry Crawford is an activist, advocate, historian, writer, and educator. She leads at the intersection of social justice, community engagement, and public policy, cultivating over 2 decades of experience for her passion to achieve a more just world. Her scholarship spans intersectionality of race and law, critical legal theory, criminology and criminal justice, and historical foundations of American law. She has earned her bachelor's degree from College of St. Mary's in Omaha, Nebraska, a Juris Doctorate from Creighton University School of Law. Professor Crawford also serves as Public Policy Director for the League of Women Voters of Greater Omaha, Community Fellow for Addressing Redlining Through Service Learning, and Community Engagement Initiative at University of Nebraska at Omaha, and is the immediate past president of Omaha Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Professor Crawford has a long history of advocacy from Professor Crawford. Sherman Wells is a dedicated father, husband, and community empowerment organizer, born and raised in Omaha, Nebraska. He is the co-founder of Untamed, which stands for Unified Nation Taking Action Mentally Erasing Deception, serving as a social enterprise that provides services to fund our social causes, such as self-awareness, gang prevention, youth entrepreneurship, and community building. Wells is also chair member of the Black Agenda Alliance and the Community Outreach Director for North Omaha Community Partnership. Let's celebrate Sherman Wells, y'all. Please stand. At this time, I would like to, there we go. We're going to introduce our panel moderator, the matchless Denise Chapman. Is she around? There she is. Come on, Denise. Andrea is the reason why this space looks as beautiful as it does. Every flower picked, y'all, was picked with intention. There's literally 98 flowers to represent Malcolm X's 98th birthday this year. So thank you, Andrea, for your creativity as well as your passion and dedication. Thank you, Denise.
Greetings, everyone. I am so very excited and honored to be here with you all this afternoon to help just ask some questions and guide our conversation that we're going to have this afternoon. Joanna has given me a detailed list, so I'm going to make sure we stick to it and go through all the questions. For those of you I have not met in community or out in the world or in this room yet, my name is Denise Chapman. I'm the producing artistic director of theater at the Union for Contemporary Art and the new Shirley Tyree Theater located on 24th and Willis Street. And I'm very excited to be in this space, in this capacity. A lot of times when I'm here, we're making shows and producing shows. I've done work here with Love Felicia, a beautiful piece about recognizing and working through domestic violence, and also some other work with other individuals like Michelle Troxclair doing solo performance work in the space. So it's nice to be back in another one of my creative homes. So thank you all for having me. So we're gonna start off the panel conversation here. Will you all share with us some of your connections to North Omaha, whether you were born here or you have family here, or what is kind of the grounded roots that have you placed here today?
Thank you for having me. My family came to Omaha in 1967, of which I was a 7th grader at Tech High School, Hilltop Projects, and then we moved to 27th and Blondo. I believe it was only 2 blocks from David Rice's house. And we were only several blocks from the Logan Fontenelle Projects the night of the event, the tragic event of June 24th, 1969. I graduated from Omaha Tech, class of 72. Hey! Probably Nebraska's best kept secret is the Tech High classes of 71, 72, 73. You've heard a lot of these movies like Lean On Me and Cooley High. Omaha could make one of those kind of movies. You have no idea what went on in that building those 3 years. But I'm also been an educator here in Omaha, Nebraska for 46 years. And I did not know Vivian Strong personally, but I saw the family come in and out because I was a bag boy at the grocery store on 24th in Blondo, which Ellis, if you remember Ellis, he had the grocery store there. So my wife, Beverly Bray Thompson, only lived one building away from Vivian Strong, and of course her brother Nate Bray. So we have a great connection to what we're going to be doing this summer, and I'll talk about that a little bit later.
Thank you, Franklin. I was born and raised in Omaha. We are 5 generations in. I was born at the Med Center. My mom was born there. My children were born there. Now my grands were all born at what used to be University Hospital. It's now Nebraska Medicine. I went through OPS. I went to Long School. I went to Kellum School. I went to Webster School. 2 of those schools no longer exist. I also went to Tech. So I was there in the 7th grade, and then when Nebraska got its desegregation plan, they bused me out to Lewis and Clark. Although all of my friends in the neighborhood went to Monroe and Macmillan, they sent me to Lewis and Clark. I didn't know then, but I understand now why I was sent out there, because it was part of some divinity as to why I went out there and everybody else did not. So it put me in my purpose at a very early age. When we came back to Tech High School, because I was only junior high. We called it junior high then, it's middle school now. We called it junior high, so I came back and I graduated from Tech, not at the same time that Franklin did. He's just a little bit older than I am, so I didn't graduate in 72, but I did graduate from Tech High School. My family also grew up in Logan Fontenelle. I know his wife Beverly very well, and also you know my brothers very well. So we actually lived in Logan Fontenelle when this incident took place, although I was very young. We lived on the 20th and Paul Street side of it. So we'll have some more conversations about that.
All right. So, yeah, Sherman, born and raised Omaha, Nebraska. I'm so born and raised here. You know, most of these people is my family. The Wells family, part of the Davis family, dozens of cousins. And most recently found out that my grandfather, Joe Strong, and Vivian's father, James Strong, was brothers. Miss Celeste right here, that's how Omaha I am. She held me when I was a baby, so you know. And so the community and everything, the reason why I'm still here is because I love my people. I mean, I'm so connected to all of y'all. And that's why I'm here. I'm gonna stay here and do what I can do for the people that I love and the people who I know that my bloodline is connected to, probably in more than one way, you know. Growing up, it was just me, my mother Sandra Wells. She passed on Christmas Day 2020. And my father Virgil Davis, and my 2 sisters, Felicia and Trina Wells. And so, yeah, I mean, I always tell people we were born in the gutter with the Ninja Turtles. You know, before we ever had a chance to see real life, that's where we came from, the struggle, 100%. And so what I do is not behind a study or a fad, it's because it's my life. And I was born in 76, so when they talking about 72, I wasn't even here yet, you know, but the story of Vivian was always familiar with me because my mom talked about 24th Street glory days. And, you know, so when I did find out about the story, it was definitely devastating because she was 14 and I had no idea why the person didn't get charged. And then just to find out that, you know, we were second cousins made it even worse. And then also in 2022, another one of my cousins was killed in Minnesota by the SWAT team, Amir Locke. And actually my cousin Karen Wells and her husband Andre is there today because Minnesota passed a ban on no-knock search warrants thanks to Amir. So shouts out to them for that hard work. And we'll talk more about that later.
Thank you. So now that we've got our full introductions of this fabulous panel and how they are grounded here in North Omaha and the community and connections to Vivian Strong, we're going to get those plates filled up, yes? Doriette, I'm looking at you to get some just direction about how we're going to have the meal. And I'm going to have you come on. No, I'm putting you on the spot. Come on up here. And while y'all are filling plates, I'm going to give the panel a couple of the questions to be thinking through so they can have a moment to pull all the thoughts together and also get some food on their plates. We'll have a little eating and then we'll resume with our conversation.
Thank you so much for your patience. I have tapped the individuals on their shoulders already and let them know when as soon as I come back, then you all will be released to go get your vittles, is what my mama used to call food, and she still does. So we're just going to go row by row. Is that all right? Yes. Live stream, if you have any. Yes, starting on this side. Starting on this side. So you'll be the second row, yes? All right. All right. If anyone would like to assist me to prepare plates for our panelists, that would be great. Please raise your hand. I prefer an adult, but hey, I will take the hands that I can get. As long as you're steady, as long as you got steady hands, we're good to go. Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right. Yeah, because I only want the vegetables and maybe a house salad. Yeah, that's all I want. Can we write that already? Just veg and house salad.
Thank y'all. I'm going to do some combining of questions and give y'all, so that way you can have a moment to think through as we go. So, let us talk about North Omaha before Highway 75 and the riots, right? Exactly, right? So we'll have a conversation about what it was like before. And then from there, we'll go into when did you hear about the news of Vivian? For some of that's in real time, some of that becomes like a historical grounding, yes? And you can talk about whether you were alive or the family members were alive and how you got that information. We're going to tie that question to what does Vivian's death signify to us in 2020, right? Because we do have that, right? So let us do those two put together, and then what efforts are being organized now to share the story and impact future generations. So we'll come and we'll bring it up to that. So, and then we'll kind of try to take a few brief questions from the audience because I'm watching time. But does that feel comfortable?
I would also like to acknowledge Brother Jeremiah Neal. Brother Neal, if you could raise your hand. He is the artist who painted that beautiful painting back there of Malcolm X. He has been an artistic treasure in our community for many moons. If y'all don't know who he is, here he is. Contact him for your artistic needs. Thank you, Jeremiah. Also, at the end of this program, we will be conducting tours. If you have not gotten a tour of the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation, you have the ability to do that after this program. We are also open for tours Saturdays and Sundays from 12 to 5. So if you have not gotten a tour of the Malcolm X Foundation, please do. You will not regret it. Thank you.
Doriette to the stage, please. Doriette to the stage, please. as our last table is in line to get their plate filled with this beautiful and delicious smelling meal. Come on, food. I want to take an opportunity just to share the framework of this panel and the questions in which we are going to discuss once we all get resettled. And we're going to thank Brother Shamari for the airflow. So when we all come back together, we are going to briefly discuss the vibrancy of North Omaha before the Highway 75 North expansion and the riots. We're going to discuss when our panelists first learned the news of Vivian's death, and if they were alive or if they had family members alive, and talk about that experience. And also, how does Vivian's death tie to our understanding of the world today in 2023? And we're also going to take a moment to talk about what efforts are being organized now to share her story and to impact change for future generations. And while I have your attention, I'll just note that there's a fabulous handout that you can take a brief look at and prepare your pocketbooks for. As we know that we need all time, talents, and coins, yes, to make all of these things happen. So the panel is prepared. They have been preparing their comments and thoughts. I will also say, if you all of my award presenters, you are now on deck. Just so you know, so just as you are wrapping up your meal, just be ready to be called on up here, and we'll get those awards going after we take questions from the audience for the panel. So we might truncate, not truncate, but our time is getting a little tighter than I think we originally thought, but we're going to keep it moving and keep us all on schedule as best we can. Amen? All right, folks, enjoy your meal. We'll be back in just a few moments. Joya to the stage, please. Ladies and gentlemen, I see that we are getting ourselves settled. We have a few folks still putting food on their plate, but to keep us moving forward time-wise, we're going to hop into this conversation with our panelists so that we can also get to our honoring of our community folks with these awards. So to begin, we're going to hear from our Tech High graduates, yes, about the vibrancy of North Omaha before the riots and before the expansion of 75 North. I think we've all kind of heard some conversations at some point about what especially 24th Street used to be, but also what all of North Omaha used to be. And if you could share some of that information with us just to help us ground an understanding of the potential that we have to grow towards through our history.
Before I address that question, I'd like to just be able to take 30, 60 seconds and say something about Malcolm. Is that okay? Yes, please. Okay. When the committee came to Omaha to take, questions and testimony, I decided that I wanted to stand up and speak. I guess one of my gifts is being able to talk to conservatives. And one of the things that I asked the board was two important things. Number one, how can you have Patrick Henry say the phrase, "Give me liberty or give me death," but Malcolm says, "Give me self-determination by any means necessary"? Then you make one a hero and then one a demagogue. How can you do that? And so what I wanted to do is to bring out the inconsistencies and the hypocrisy. The two statements, if they're not the same, they're at least what I call kissing cousins, okay? So the color of the person made the difference, but the goal was the same. America started on revolution, okay? So it's not something that's new or bad or demonized. And then the second thing I asked the board was that, there's all these books about home and family and broken families and single house families, how to help kids at risk and everything. And I said, all of those pop, culture remedies, they all have a place, but there's one source that trumps all of that for the black family, and that's Malcolm. If you listen to Malcolm has the best answer for the black family than any other resource. And once people start realizing that and stop being hypocritical about Malcolm, then we can get on with what we need to be doing. I was told at a later time by committee members that those two questions really made an impact on them voting yes. And so we're miseducated often, and it's important that we get it right and stop demonizing our heroes. Okay.
And that's a perfect segue into our understanding of what we used to be in North Omaha.
Now, North Omaha was a whole lot like South Omaha. You had grocery stores, you had savings and loans places, you had drug stores, you had bakeries. My favorite place was the Ritz Theater. And the reason why the Ritz Theater was my favorite place is because back then, in the 9th, 10th grade, I was a nerd. I was kind of like Urkel. And I had to learn how to talk to girls. And so I'd I'd meet my girlfriend at the Ritz Theater, and it took me a whole hour to put my arm around her. But the Ritz Theater was a kind of a sacred place for me because that's how I learned how to interact with the other gender. Okay, but anybody remember Sadie's Bakery? That was some good stuff, wasn't it? It was like crack, really. my mom and my dad were addicted to Bally High, and just on and on and on. I was a member of Zion Baptist Church at that time, one of the best churches. Reverend Allen is there now. And we had grocery stores, full service grocery stores, everything. And one incident that was the pinnacle of many incidences led to the destruction and the deconstruction of 24th Street. 54 years later, we have not recovered from that. And we have got to stop playing games, folks. And when I say we, I'm including politicians. We have got to stop playing games. You cannot just make people feel good. Warm fuzzies don't cure what needs to be changed. We need economic development, and we need to return North Omaha back to where it used to be.
I got it.
Thank you, Franklin. So I remember a time when North Omaha had a Coca-Cola plant, a Pepsi-Cola plant. It had a Wonder Bread, a Maxwell House, a Tip Top. We had a Quaker Oats that was just on 10th Street in South Omaha. There was a Storrs Brewery. There was lots and lots of economic development on North 30th Street, on North 24th Street, and North 16th Street. So jobs were plentiful. There was an opportunity for you to raise your family on a sustainable income. And if you lost one job, then all you had to do was walk several blocks away and apply at another place, and you could get another job. We had meatpacking in South Omaha, Armour. We had, what was the others? Armour, Swift, and Cudahy. So jobs were plentiful over there in South Omaha. So my family moved a lot because we lived in poverty, although we didn't know it because everyone else around us lived in the same area and had the same lack of resources. So we were happy, but we were poor. We moved around a lot. So we lived in South Omaha, we lived in North Omaha. We lived over in what was Southside Terrace, and we lived in Logan Fontenelle. So when we moved south, all of the men in the family were able to go to one of those three packing houses, right? After we were, number one, redlined, and then number two, the riots that took place, all of that was extracted from North Omaha. We even had, Rotella's at one time was in North Omaha. We had a grocery store that was called Schragel's on 20th and Paul Street. All of that left as a result of, well, several factors, but I always go to redlining first, and then the riots that occurred in the 60s. Much of that industry moved westward in Omaha, and you can find a lot of it today that's anywhere west of 120th Street. None of it returned to North Omaha. None of that industry returned to North Omaha. So we saw fit to rebuild other areas of the city, but we never economically invested in what we know as North and Northeast Omaha. That was by design that all those things happened. I also remember the Ritz Theater was probably the first place that I went where we were allowed to go without our parents to go to the movies. And the Ritz Theater was the place right on 25th and Patrick Street. North Omaha also had several other movie theaters. There was one on 16th Street. What's the street, Franklin? Help me with it. Okay, thank you, Brenda. Yes, absolutely. And several other locations. So there were lots and lots of industry. There was lots of bars and taverns, lots of places for us to socialize, for us to work, lots of places to entertain the family. All of that left as a result of people being sick and tired, number one, which caused the riots. And then as a result of the lack of interest and the devaluing of those black lives, which were in those red line areas, we started building the city westward and neglected to continue to do that in North Omaha. I do remember Tully's, absolutely. So we had tailor shops, and we had Maxi Walker, and we had seamstress. We had everything, 30th, 24th, and 16th Street. And in fact, we had transportation that allowed us to absolutely be able to maneuver and navigate all of those places. We had a black cab company in North Omaha. All of that industry was extracted, the economic base was destroyed, and it was never rebuilt in a black community. We can talk about what's coming and why we have an opportunity. We have a window of opportunity to do that, but that comes later, and I'll talk about that.
Excellent. And just to put a framework for us, when we think about historically, we see this pattern happen in every major city, right? So we see ghettoizing of neighborhoods, we see injustice, we see communities implode because we understand that riots are the language of the unheard. Then we see redlining, right? And then after all of that, they build a highway through it. And just to put some things in perspective, with 75 North expansion, we lost 30% of our housing stock. And people were displaced, and sometimes people were displaced twice. So not only did you lose your house, you might not have been able to find a place to be in the neighborhood, and other neighborhoods didn't want you, right? So it was really a struggle. So just to put that historical framework to understand that this is a very large conversation that is not unique to Omaha, but definitely we want to be just aware of the systems and practices in place, right, that made things very intentional. So now I would like us to talk about, when did we hear about Vivian's death? Were you alive at the time? Did you have family members at the time? But how did this story, this understanding, come into your awareness?
It was June 24th, 1969. I remember the night well. That night at 26th and Blondo, we had a party. Now, the reason why we had the party is because there used to be an old Channel 7 American Bandstand knockoff show. It was called Seven Swings. Does anybody remember that? Seven Swings. And what we did, the older teens had, their mothers and fathers would let them go to house parties. But if you were in the 7th, 8th, 9th grade, you weren't old enough to go to house parties. So Seven Swings was our chance to dance, get on TV. You tape it on Saturday, they show it on Sunday. So that same night that Vivian Strong's group had a dance in their situation over in the projects, we had one on 26 and Blondo. Now, I don't know. I can't say that Vivian Strong's group was practicing for Seven Swings, but we were practicing for Seven Swings. And so by the time we let out for that night, then we heard the news that very night, that same night. And I remember the dominant song that night that we were playing was Sly Stone's Hot Fun in the Summertime. Little did we know how hot it was going to get that night. We had no idea how hot it was going to get. But Vivian was also only 6 months younger than me. She was 2 grades before me, but because she had to be hospitalized because of some medical issues. But she was a Tech High favorite, and I'll talk a little bit later how that impacted Tech High School, because it was a big impact. But that's how I learned, and I remember the fires and everything, and the fighting and the police and everything that night.
So I also remember the night very vividly in my mind. But just to give a little bit of context, I was part of that younger group that Franklin talked about, so we couldn't go to those parties. I distinctively remember, we lived in Logan Fontenelle, and because I am part of a 9 people sibling string, right? And I'm on the bottom end, I'm third from the youngest. So we would also follow our younger siblings around all the time. We lived in Logan Fontenelle. We did not call them apartments. We called them units, right? And we lived in a double unit because we had a huge family. It was not unusual in Logan Fontenelle, and even when we lived over south in Southside Terrace, that families would move in and out all the time. When families would move out, it was not unusual for the kids who lived in the close proximity to those who moved out to go into those empty apartments, and we had record players and 45s. So we would go into those empty apartments and just dance, play games, and we had soda in glass bottles at that time. So it was just kids playing in empty, vacant apartments, having fun, and being kids. I can't say that that's what happened that night because I was not there. But what I do know is there was lots of chaos in the neighborhood immediately after it happened. We were on the 20th and Paul Street side, so the word traveled very quickly, and we were told to stay indoors by either our parents or other parents who were in the neighborhood. There was lots and lots of just chaos is the best way that I can describe it. Lots of movement, lots of foot traffic, people knocking on doors, there was lots of crying, there was lots of anger, and I just remember a bunch of chaos. Throughout the night, you could hear sirens, and you could hear shooting, and you could hear glass breaking, and you could smell the smoke, all of that. And I was a very young child, so I remember being very frightened. We were on the floor, and we could listen to everything that was going on outdoors, although I could not see it. We knew that Vivian had gotten shot because, like I said, the word traveled very quickly. Some of my older siblings, I have a sister, Ramona. A lot of you in the room know my sister, Ramona. So she was Carol's age. So she may or may not have communicated with Carol that night. I don't know. But all the older kids had the information and brought it back to the younger kids. So we stayed in the house. We locked the doors. We stayed on the floor. We had our windows open because you could hear and listen to everything that was going on. It was like a nightmare. I will never forget that followed me. And then the next day, when we had the conversations about what had actually happened, it was devastating to the entire community. Everyone who lived in the community was devastated by it and angry and wanted to take some action, and a lot of people did. And we can talk some more about what that looked like.
I'd like to also say that my wife, Beverly Bray Thompson, lived one unit over from Vivian, and so they were right in the middle of all of that, too.
All right, so yeah, I was born in '76, so I came after the whole incident, and my mother was a 24th Street vet. So for me, 24th Street growing up, I seen Easy Drive, Valley High. We was definitely in the projects all the time. There was arcades and stuff down there, but I always wondered, you know, the glory days she talked about, I never got to see. It wasn't until, of course, being a product of poverty, you end up in jail. So about 16 years old, I was in jail. And there was an older guy in there, and he was telling me the story about Vivian. And unknown to me at the time, she was my family member, and it just hit me so hard because he broke down the glory of 24th Street and how he felt and why, you know, they were so angry when it happened. Man, and so, yeah, being a product of that, and then finding out later when I did the DNA test, I actually got it as a gift, me and my wife in December. And when the test came back, Carol reached out to me instantly on Ancestry because my DNA came up so strong in their family that so her father's sister had did the DNA test before she passed. Her name is Annie Strong. And so when we got the test back, she was my top connection. Her and a sister that I had that I didn't know, which was also my dad's daughter. And so when I got that test back, Carol reached out to me on Ancestry first, and then maybe about a couple weeks after that, she came to Omaha. And she said, Sherman, I'm in town. I have to meet you. I need to know who you are, you know. And so she called me. She was down right off of over there by Conestoga, where we're getting the street renamed at. One of her friends was there. And so when I got there, the first thing I noticed is we had the same nose, you know. And so we took a picture together, and she talked to me, and just hearing her relive the situation and talk about how her mother, you know, the mental state that she was in after that, and how she had to step up and be more like a mom and not just a sister. And seeing that in her face, you know, and here I am, the new guy coming in, and she believed that God placed me here on purpose in this role at this exact point for this reason, because she said, if not you, who else right now at this time? There was really no representation, and although we have a lot of strong family, my cousin LaDonna, Duranda, it just was a beatdown for the family, you know? And here I am already out here fighting strong and, you know, putting all into the youth and my dozens of cousin family. Man, it was just, it was beautiful for her to entrust me with the task of helping Mr. Franklin with the street renaming, jumping right in. And like I said, Vivian's story, it was just so familiar to what we were already currently going through. And so, yeah, I was just happy to be a part of that. So
Let's take our last few minutes in the panel to talk about the impact of Vivian's loss on the community and what is happening right now to help educate folks, to honor her memory, and how we're moving forward.
Well, I would say that the impact of her death, I mean, it was historical, right? I mean, we went from a business district to a nonprofit district, right? We are the only area in Omaha that doesn't have a district that you can experience our culture in our area. I can leave 24th Street and feel like I left Mexico. You see what I'm saying? And you come north, you don't get our clothes, you don't get our hairstyles, you don't get our food. You can get nonprofit, but you're not gonna get our culture. And so when Vivian got killed, that was like a punishment for, you know, there had been riots prior to that. North Omaha was so strong. Anytime you mess with people around here, we went crazy. We stood up for each other. After Vivian, they like, okay, y'all want to keep standing up? We're not rebuilding nothing. We're not refinancing nothing. We're not giving y'all nothing. So it turned our area from business to nonprofit to crime. So now you have a place that's targeted on purpose, right? Where you can write a grant and get you some money because you get you a building down in that area, then you can get the money. And in reality, we are the most creative. We can have businesses all up and down 24th Street without a doubt. We have some of the top security people in here, Brother Kasim with the BAA, they can secure 24th Street with no issues. Okay? Let's not keep pretending that this is not done on purpose by people who don't want to see the most creative and entrepreneurship people flourish. Our dollars are the top spending dollars. We spend the most money. So what happened when we don't have our own area? Then we have to go spend our money in other areas. And I can't take this young man down to 24th Street and let him get a job down there at a local store or something. But I can take him to the Benson area and get a job. And so we have to understand that everything that's being done is done on purpose. We do have a window, but we create our lives. We don't have to wait for people to dictate what to us that needs to happen in North Omaha. We don't have to wait. We can create our own fronts, our own businesses, our own movements, our own unity, and we proved it. Working with Miss Tamika Meese with NOCP, my cousin Johnny, Shamari, half these people in the room know that we came and we were able to create an area that they said was impoverished on 24th Street, and we brought community engagement. We brought movie nights. We brought kids down there 11, 12 o'clock at night, and there was a lot of acknowledgement for it, not just from city council, but from the Douglas County new elected sheriff, you know, for the crime, for having people down there with no incidents. And so I just want to say that in North Omaha, y'all remember that we are the creators, we're the entrepreneurs. There's nothing that we can't do if we just bring it together, like Terry said.
Thank you, Sherman, for that. So, when I think about the impact that it had that night in 1969 and the impact that it continues to have now, I make comparisons, and I talk about this when we do the tour, that when we all witnessed the homicide of George Floyd, it brought back everything that happened that night and every other night with people like Michael Brown and Trayvon and Tamir and all of the people that lost their lives at the hands of the police. And that's not to say that all police are bad actors. They are not. But we do know that we are up against a system and not bad actors. It's a system. So redlining was created by the federal, the state, and the local government. That means city planning, urban development, the baking industry, banking industry, you name it, was involved in that process across the nation. And it was because they devalued black lives in communities and wanted to relegate us in particular areas of the city. As a result of that, there was white flight, there was capital flight, and there was extraction of the wealth. And it all went westward, not just in this city, but across the nation. That was all by design. It was not an accident or by happenstance that it happened that way. So if we know that, and we do, then we know that there's also a system that needs to be dismantled. We don't need to fix it. We need to dismantle it and then build our own system. There is a window of opportunity for us to do that right now, and it's happening bit by bit in communities across the country. We are having internal conversations, as we should, and this redlining, I always go back to that because it's a piece of how we got to where we are right now, and it's also going to be part of the solution as to how we undo this. So when I think about her impact then and how devastating it was for the entire community at that time, and how devastating it was for us to watch George Floyd collectively, but what it did is it pulled back the curtain for everybody else to see what we had already been seeing. So now there was a whole group of other individuals who were our allies and some were our oppressors, who now saw what we were seeing in our communities all the time. So that engaged lots of individuals across the country, really across the globe, that are now involved in this conversation. It was predominantly young people that were involved in Black Lives Matter and other movements as a result of what happened to George. But all of that connects back to Vivian and the impact that it had on our community. So I'm really happy that we are now having an opportunity to honor her in the way that she deserves. But that's just the beginning of the work for us. There are so many other pieces that we can talk about collectively that we need to engage in while we have a window of opportunity.
Yes, when we talk about the impact of Vivian Strong's death, we have to look at it in terms of ripple effects. The first ring or the first ripple was the family itself. If you have chance to speak with Carol when she does come this spring and this summer, she'll tell you that she had to stop being a child and she had to be a mother. So at a very young age, she had to skip her teenage years and instantly become a mom. And that's the story of a lot of black folks. Okay? We have to miss our childhood because we're dealing with craziness in the system. Okay? Her mother, it affected her very hard, and it included having to get quite a bit of counseling and quite a bit of medical attention because of the devastating effect to the parents. So that's ring number one. Ring number two is what it did to North Omaha. Now, you've already heard about the riots and the fact that the destabilization economically, spiritually, all around, there was a destabilization. But it also led to white flight. And some people will say, and everybody will not agree with me, but some people will say that the Millard Public Schools was established by that white flight, okay? And as a result, what you had was an erosion of the tax base. And so the schools in the inner city didn't get the same amount of schools in the suburbs. As a result, see, the ripple effect it's more than just one incident. It has a way of cascading forward. In addition to that, jobs, and I think Terry had alluded to all the jobs that used to be in North Omaha, they left. And they went out to Gretna and Blair and places like that, okay? So instead of walking or taking your bike to the job, you had to cross country to get the same job you normally would have had. So that's another effect. One of the effects that I think was a good effect was that it brought to the forefront one of America's most iconic individuals, Ernie Chambers. Now, you don't have to agree with Ernie to know that he's still important to this community. And one of the things about Ernie is that we all went to him and we laid our burdens on him. He took it up, and I'm not sure whether we've been fair to Ernie, to tell you the truth. We've laid a ton of things on his shoulder, and he willingly took our burdens and fought for us for years, 50 plus years. But it wasn't that he wasn't important before this incident, but this incident took him to a whole nother stratosphere. And I just want to say that we can't forget people who have fought on our behalf. Then another thing too, and I keep coming back to this, is the effect on Tech High School. Now, I remember in my 8th and 9th grade year, race relations was good at Tech, real good. We used to walk home with our white friends. But when this incident happened, it changed our DNA. It changed our DNA. In my sophomore year, we were 60% black, 40% white. By my senior year, we were 94% black, 6% white. Just in 2.5 years, the population shifted drastically. And not only shifted drastically, but our mindsets changed. We went from just being, let's get along, Martin Luther King type students to, and I hate to put it this blunt, but a lot of my friends, we turned into Whitey is the devil. Okay? And I'm not sure whether that was God's plan. Okay? What we have to do is understand that there was a documentary at that time called The Hate That Hate Produced. And what they were trying to say is that America was throwing a rock at its own creation, trying to demonize black people for becoming what white people made them into. Okay? And so many people don't know this. We had leaders, adult leaders in Omaha. But the street soldiers were the students from Tech, Central, and North, led by the Tech students. And I like to give a lot of credit to people like Edra Williams, so those of you who know Edra. But these people went out there against their parents' wishes and fought for black rights, including the inclusion of black history in OPS, okay? That was first done at Tech High School. So I can remember we were in social studies and we had these old history books. And the history books, whenever they got to Africa, they always had these pictures of pygmies and people in the jungle. And we would always listen to the Nation of Islam. And the Nation would say you had scientists, you had people that were first, when it comes to medicine, science, astronomy, et cetera, and we were looking for that in our history books, and it wasn't there. And so we marched on the castle. At that time, the administration was at the castle, not at the TAC building. The TAC building used to be TAC. And we demanded new history books. The day that we got the new history books, we ran down to the dock, brought them up, opened them. We noticed they were used and real scruffy. We opened the inside of the book, and it said, property of Burke High School. Burke got the new books. We got the used books. That day was a full-scale riot that included chairs being thrown out of windows. So, like I said earlier, the Nebraska's best kept secret is right there on 33rd and Cumming Street, especially the graduating years of 71, 72, 73. It turned normal, God-fearing, and loving race relations people into something that they weren't meant to be, and then rocks were thrown at us. America throwing a rock at its own creation. Some of those people are just now in their 60s healing from that. Just now beginning to let it go. So understand that when you have things such as killing of an innocent 14-year-old woman, it's more than just a little effect. It has a radiating effect like radiation, and it goes far into the future. We are going to try, and I think one of the questions is what are we trying to do in this near future to remedy that. But I just want to say that the impact was in many, many areas, not just the family, not just North Omaha, but it had radiating effect all the way and many years forward. We've got to stop this madness. We've got to stop doing these things, and we need not only financial reinvestment, but we need to reinvent ourselves. And it's not so much us, it's what's being done to us. Thank you.
Can I add, on that Ernie piece, either you love him or you hate him, but we cannot deny the impact that he's had on this community, this city, and this state. If you go back and look at the history of what was reported that night, it says that Ernie was the person, along with others that were Panthers and others in the community, that approached our then mayor, who was Gene Leahy. He made a demand of $100,000 to the parents of Vivian for her slaying. So he started those negotiations and those conversations, from what I've been told. I was not there, and there may be individuals in the room who were, that can shed some more light on this. I was way too young, but I was very inquisitive and was listening to all of this. So Ernie would have been that person. We also, you talked about those and what we were doing in our community. We have to pay homage to the Panthers that existed in this city at that time, because they were there protecting the Omaha Star, protecting other businesses, and protecting the community from outsiders who wanted to come in and destroy and agitate and make it look as though other things were occurring that were not. So we have to pay homage to that, and we cannot lose sight of what that looked like in the community when we had a collective that was taking care of families and taking care of all of us and making sure people were safe and making sure we had an opportunity. The other thing that they said occurred, and Sherman, I don't know if the family has talked about this, and maybe it's another opportunity, but they said that Vivian Strong Memorial Liberation Schools were established across the country at that time, and one of them was in Omaha, Nebraska. There is no reason why we cannot reestablish that as a means of helping to continue to honor her and the family and the sacrifice that she gave for all of us. So that's part of the conversation that we can continue to have.
For sure. And while we're thinking about and talking about how we are honoring, uplifting Vivian, I just want to bring everyone's attention to the quarter sheets on the table, knowing that there's a street naming ceremony that's happening on June 16th at 3 p.m. at 21st and Clark Street, and a historical marker ceremony on July 28th at 11:30 a.m. on 24th and Blondo. And Mr. Sherman, would you like to give us a few words? Oh.
I know one of those questions was supposed to be about how am I related to Vivian, but what I already explained is, you know, her father and my grandfathers were brothers. But as far as like for the street renaming and the ceremony, Dr. Franklin, you know, he was leading the charge. And so when I came into the picture, Carol, she just brought me in and had me link right up with him and put me right in the middle. So of course I'll be there to do some speaking at that time. Of course, y'all all invited. We would love to see everyone here. And Dr. Thompson, go ahead and talk about the historical marker.
Yes, I spoke to Carol yesterday, and there's a slight update. So on here, if you could make that update, the actual historic marker will be 1 block north, so it'll be on 24th and Patrick. And then immediately after that incident, we're going to walk down to the Great Plains Museum, and we'll have a second smaller dedication. The original marker will be the Nebraska Historical Society, and bless their souls, they're going to pay for it, and they're fast tracking it too. And then we're going to go down to the museum, Black History Museum, OEDC building, and we'll have a smaller family one, and that'll be at 24th and Grant. I also want to say that this is not something that is just me. In fact, it's a collaboration called Omaha Community Council on Racial Justice and Reconciliation. And if you are on the OCCRJR, would you stand up right now, please? Anybody that's on OCCJR? Okay, Brenda? Yes? Vicky? Black Studies? Mm-hmm. Black Votes Matter, different groups, Creighton. I'm the person that's sort of heading it up, but we're all doing it and all working together on this. And so we want to, and by the way, that same group was the group that did the Will Brown and the George Smith markers also. So, yes, so there is a updated marker, and I'll send that to you. And then that way you have the latest version of it.
Yeah. Slide up.
All right. Yeah, and I just want to also acknowledge why we're here at this point. So where Vivian Street renaming is on 21st and Paul? Yes. Okay. So our family, like I said, we deeply rooted in Omaha. We had a cousin who was killed in the Iraq War. Her name is Lillian Clemens. And in March, we got a street renamed for her right there on 24th and Caldwell, across from where Vivian Street is. So May 26th, coming up next Friday, Don Bacon will be on 24th and Caldwell, and he'll be presenting our family with a congressional record to acknowledge Lillian's sacrifice that she gave to the country. And so I wanted to make sure I put that out there so y'all know y'all are all invited. Like I said, we did the street renaming in March. Don Bacon missed it, and he wanted to make it up because she served where he served. And so his team reached out to me, and so we're going to make that happen May 26th at 1:30 on 24th in Caldwell, just so y'all know.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Is there one more quick thing so we can get to awards for announcements? Mm-hmm.
Okay, it was mentioned earlier that I do have a book, and it sounds serving, but actually what I'm going to do is take 50% of the sales of this book and then go ahead and donate it to the Malcolm X Foundation. So
thank you so much. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Please join me in thanking our panelists for this afternoon. And thank you all for your patience. I know we have gone a tad bit right over time, but we do have some community awards that we do want to get to. I will ask that, knowing that it is currently 1 o'clock on the dot, if you do need to make a transition because of your schedule, if you could do so quietly, we are going to go straight into community awards, and I am going to give the floor to Dr. Nikki Brown to start us off.
Good afternoon. Thank you, panelists. That was very informative, interesting, and necessary. I have the distinct privilege of presenting the Rowena Moore Award. And this is on the back of your program here if you want to read along. Rowena Moore Award acknowledges an individual or group who has pioneered social improvement and activism for the melanated community and the community at large. And so today's awardee, unfortunately, is not here with us to hear all of these things about her, but she does have a representative here. It is Dr. LaDonna Griffin. She is the founder, yes. She is the founder of Leaders to Legends LLC right here in North Omaha. She works directly with families that are looking for an alternative means to educate their children without excuses. Today, she works tirelessly supporting parents and children in educating their children in the home setting. Oh, that's lovely. Never allowing being a single parent, being low income, with or without a high school diploma to be the excuse to not educate their children in the home setting. As a fourth-generation resident of Omaha, Dr. Griffin has served as a classroom teacher and administrator for well over 30 years. Her entire professional career has served in urban schools, and each time she has left each school in a better academic and social condition than how it was found. She possesses a special gift of working with families and students that have lived life that mirrors the culture of the North Omaha community that she was born and raised in, and remains a resident and property owner to date. Dr. Griffin shares her passion and expertise with parents, teachers, students, and community members. This amazing journey led her to actively pursue putting an end to the school-to-prison pipeline. Through social activism, her last 3 years as an elementary school principal, her total commitment to the success of all children was evident via an early intervention approach to school discipline. Dr. Griffin strongly embraced the fact that students needed to be present in the classroom with high-quality teachers who were teaching them to be confident readers. Dr. Griffin has been a leader her whole life. I was privileged to work with her at Central High School on the student council. She's always been a leader. If she was here, she would want you all to know that she is first and foremost a woman and lover of God. So, okay, she's got a speech. Let me see it. Oh, I lost it. Okay, hold on, y'all. Ooh. I think hold on. See, I can't see. I thank my let's do it like this. I'm so sorry. Okay, got it. I thank my Heavenly Father as well as each one of you in this room who has made a conscious choice to remain residents of the North Omaha community. My success is our community's success. There are so many community organizations that filled in the gap as my father raised his 5 children. Community organizations like Calvin's Daycare, to Wesley House, to Boys and Girls Club, to Girls Inc., Commodore's Drill Team at Bryan Center with Mrs. Dacus, King Solomon Church right down the street, Eagle's Nest were all community organizations that positively impacted the lives of many youth in my younger days. My educational journey began with my father, who was a single parent, who independently raised 5 children following the loss of my mother when I was 3. My youngest brother was just 6 weeks old, and my oldest sister was just 8. My father was not a high school graduate by choice and did not participate in schooling as the traditional family. Teachers learned quickly that he was one parent that they were not going to see in the school setting. He spent many hours working at Logiers and later being an entrepreneur and building his own business, including his 5 children in every step of that. As you see, the foundations of schooling and the importance of a quality education began in the home. There was always a set time immediately following dismissal from school that all 5 children knew they were to sit down and discuss and complete homework. This foundation that my father established about education in the home setting became the glue and inspiration for me to pursue a career as an educator and later pursue my master's and doctoral degree in educational administration and supervision with an endorsement as a superintendent. And today to give a hand up and not a hand out to the community that did the same for me and my family. I am sure there were some days where life did get the best of him, but he didn't quit. And I pray daily that my community does not quit and continues to make the best educational decisions for their children and family. Nobody said it would be easy, but it is promised to be the beginning of generational blessings for the many generations that follow. Why not let it start with you? Thank you. This is such an honor, Rowena Moore. Wow. If you do not know the details of who she is and all that she did, please see Joanna and her team here at the Malcolm X Foundation to schedule a tour. Look at her. Dr. LaDonna Griffin.
Good afternoon. I have the honor and privilege of presenting one of the Innovator Awards this afternoon. The Innovator Award acknowledges individuals who have made great strides to enhance community connectedness and engagement in innovative ways through inventing, entrepreneurship, or grassroots organizing. Clarice Jackson is a native of Omaha, Nebraska, and founded the Voice Advocacy Center in Omaha in 2012. She also serves as the executive director of the Literacy and Dyslexia Screening and Teaching Program, a tutoring center specializing in dyslexia and the first dyslexia center in the state of Nebraska. Clarice is a sought-after national presenter and keynote on the topics of dyslexia and intersectionality of literacy and the school-to-prison pipeline. Literacy, the civil rights and social justice issue of our time, Black literacy matters, and special education advocacy. Clarice has received several awards and recognition for her social justice work centered around literacy and dyslexia, including the 2016 Education Reform Award from the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, the 2019 NAACP Freedom Fighter Service Award, and was selected to be the 2018 Dyslexia Ambassador for Nebraska at the World Dyslexia Summit in London, England. Clarice uses her platform as a voice for the voiceless to change the narratives surrounding literacy, government, community, and education. Clarice is a proud mother, African American commissioner for the state of Nebraska, Phoenix Academy School board member, former councilwoman for the learning community of Douglas and Sarpy counties, and ordained minister and a Supreme Court trained mediator. Her mantra is Dr. King's quote, "Use me, God. Show me how to take who I am, who I want to be, and what I can do, and use it for a purpose greater than myself." Please help me honor and recognize Clarice Jackson.
Thank you. This is beautiful. I'm going to try not to cry, but I wasn't expecting this, and I don't do it for this. But I am so humbled by this and all the people in the room. So I thank you. It means a lot to me. It means a lot from my community. I appreciate my family that's here, my mom, Deborah, my aunt Tina, my son Makai, all of my friends and family that are here with me today. And I do this from the heart, and I do believe that literacy is one of the civil rights issues of our time. There's so many youth that are in these detention centers who are 17 and 18 years old, and for the first time, when they hear about the term dyslexia, which just now, with efforts not all together by me, but a lot having to do with me pushing it, in 2018 we got legislation passed so that we can acknowledge it, because it's the most common reason why children, youth, and adults struggle to read. And so when we have scores in the state for fourth grade reading scores of only 12% proficiency, that's a problem. And literacy intersects with everything from crime to hospitals and health and education and what you make in this world economically. And so if the recidivism rate drops from 70% to 17% just by us ensuring that children learn how to read and read effectively, that's a mission and a passion that I will stand behind until I leave this world. So thank you guys for this wonderful award. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart. God bless you.
Congratulations. And we'll invite our next presenter up.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for your full attention. We know that it's kind of been moving, so we're going to go ahead and get this next one out. I have the privilege of introducing the next awardee for our innovator, another innovator award, and it's so interesting. I'm a native of Omaha. I've been born and raised here, hit the streets myself, and then I disappeared. It was just too much. It was a lot. So coming back, when I first got back into it, I saw this gentleman, and I was like, okay, now that's some power there. This Innovator Award goes to Kasim Shabazz. Yes, yes, yes. The very first time I met him, and I didn't even meet him personally, I was like, okay, now who is that? I like the way that he is moving. I like how people are moving with him. Kasim Shabazz is one of the founders of the Black Agenda Alliance, a Black nationalist organization designed to enhance the political, moral, social, and ethical circumstance through collective behavior. Shabazz is also founder of the Urban Survival Club of Omaha, a youth organization designed to teach survival skills specifically to Black youth while helping them achieve the value of self-love through learning to be self-sufficient. He also founded the Urban Flag Football League of Omaha, a Pan-African flag football organization designed to teach Black children who they are and where they come from. All right. Through our athletics programs by naming teams after predecessors such as the Garveyites, I like that, the El Hajj Bulldogs, Harlem Hellfighters, and many more. Most notable, in 2020, Shabazz headed up the largest rally during the George Floyd and James Scurlock conflict in Omaha, Nebraska. He recently purchased 8 acres of land dedicated specifically for Black-owned development and space for youth programming. Please help me in presenting this award to Mr. Kasim Shabazz.
About to fall out like Sister Clarice up here, man. So I don't even feel appropriate without greeting you all in the words of peace and paradise of Assalamu alaikum. because of the time and the day. Man, this is crazy. Man. So for people like myself, man, we don't look for accolades, because we do the work so authentically that it's obligatory. We feel obligated, With all that she just said, I ain't never got no grant. I ain't got no funding. All right? I'm not going to put him on blast, but there's people out here like Paul Philmans, Brother Elder Carl Tyler's over there, who's been a spiritual guide for me for all these years. My brother Sherman over here, who we just had the conversation this morning about the need for men. Our families need us. The community need us. We need ourselves, man, and it just isn't enough. There isn't enough of us, and it's we get pulled in so many different directions. And it's a scripture. It's a biblical scripture. I think it goes something like the work is. Maybe Sister Clarice can hit me with it, but I think it goes something like the work is plentiful, the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. There we go. You see what I'm saying? So that's what this thing here come down to. The bio done told all my business. I want my 2 daughters over here to stand up, please. Those are my. Okay, so I was also taught that, you judge a tree by the fruit that it bears, right? So my oldest daughter, I had her when I was 17 years old. She's the tallest one. And she's a junior in college. She's maintained a 4.0. She's studying criminal justice and psychology. Okay, and that's my beautiful daughter, man. When we made her, I was out here, and I am a Muslim, by the way, but I was out here selling dope. I got my first Quran out of a dope house to somebody in whom I was selling to. And that's a whole nother story I'll tell another time, but she know where I come from because she had to grow through a lot of it with me. And the other one, my daughter, Lelia, she skipped school today. Okay, she also almost got me, Sherman, and my cousin Tamika over. She almost got the 3 of us in some crap last year. I don't know how many of you are aware of the Juneteenth parade that took place that we got. It kind of went down in the pound, man, because we decided to represent our colors. So 21-year-old, 11-year-old who thinks she's 21, and those are my babies right there. But so I skipped work today. Joanna, she's not here, and she's gonna have to give me some of that EGK money, when I see her. But all in all, man, I just want to say thank you. So yeah, we only all-black football league in the state. We bought 8 acres of land, cash money, just a collective black dollar, man. I'm not gonna say too much. The thing about this here is that, we read, and I'm not up here to teach no history lessons or nothing like that, and that's cool. But at some point, we have to be willing to manifest, what we know. We have to be willing to even die for it. Okay? Me and my brother, we was sitting in here, and I said, man, let's do some perimeter checks. Okay? Because we can't have these type of circumstances. Y'all know what they do to us when we start to try to get ahead. Okay, so let's quit being naive so much so to the point as to where we're not at war. We're at war. Okay, and I'm generally considered to be an extremist. So I appreciate the old extremists getting the, man, I love y'all, man. Such a beautiful layout, man. Sister Terry, Brother Sherman, my other panels. I mean, and this whole thing is just, this is everything. So whatever I can do to continue to support and be a part of what's going on, man, I appreciate y'all. I'm going to leave y'all the way I came with the greetings of peace and paradise. Assalamu alaikum.
Got a mic?
That is all you.
Yeah, you gotta take your flowers.
Okay. Where's his name? So this next award is presented to someone for the Transformation Change Agent. So when I thought about this person, I thought about Malcolm X and his leadership and how he was truly a transformative leader because he gave back to the black community and he gave us a sense of hope and a sense of empowerment. He also told us that we have the power to change our own lives and to create a better future for ourselves. So this person also kind of is the epitome of all of those things. And I just met him over this last year. His name is Sterling McCoy. And here's what I know about him and why I think this award is so important and so worthy. So Mr. McCoy served 17 years in the federal prison system. In 9 months. He was finally released due to his own efforts after initially starting out with a 30-year sentence for conspiracy to distribute drugs. He fought long and hard until he secured the desired result of his liberation in 2021. And I say all that to say that Malcolm had a history, and we all have one. Everybody has a history, but transformation is about changing who you were and becoming who you are. So while he was locked up, he did several things as part of that transformation behind the walls, just the same way that Malcolm did. He got his certificate in paralegal studies, and he got his associate's degree in finance. You can find him online at an organization called In the Trenches Paralegal Services. And this is what he did as a result of the First Step Act and the Second Chance Act, which are both pieces of federal legislation. He wrote his own brief, he wrote his own petition, and after he exhausted his internal remedies with the Bureau of Prisons, he went to federal court himself, went before Judge Strom here in Omaha, Nebraska, and gained his own freedom. And he did all of that without the assistance of an attorney. This was his own legal mind that did that. Since he has been home, what he has done was reach back to the brothers that are in prison, and he's now writing those briefs for them. He's writing those petitions for them. He has had at least 2 brothers that have been released as a result of both of these federal pieces of legislation. So he continues to do all of that work in our community. And if that's not transformative, I don't know what is. He called me 2 days ago and said because of the position that he holds in his family and because of the amount of time that he has been away from his family, he had a death and he had to be there. So he's not here with us today, and he's asked me to accept this award on his behalf. However, on Sunday, for our reentry panel, he will be one of those panelists. So please come back on Sunday from 2 to 4 here at the foundation to not only listen to Brother McCoy, but several others that will share their stories. And we'll talk more about the First Step and the Second Chance Act, because the name of our panel for reentry is Bring Them Home, because we really need to open up those doors and bring our brothers and our sisters home for something that is now legal in many states, which is marijuana. That was his crime, and that is many other people's crime who's doing federal time right now for marijuana. There's a way for that to happen, and now because of this federal legislation, those brothers and sisters can go directly to the federal courts without the Bureau of Prisons doing that on their behalf, and secure their own relief. So I'm honored to receive it on his behalf, and please come back to our panel to hear some more about how all of us can bring them all home. Thank you.
have our next presenter.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am honored to present the next award. It is the Shabazz Courage Award, and this award is going to Dr. Cynthia L. Robinson. Dr. Robinson is a native Omahan and University of Nebraska alum. She is a Goodrich Scholarship recipient. She earned a Bachelor's of Science degree in 1995 as a double major in Black Studies and Communication and an MS in 1997 in Urban Studies, both from the University of Nebraska, Omaha, and she also earned a PhD in 2005 in Communication Studies from the University of Nebraska, Lincoln. Dr. Robinson began teaching Black Studies at UNO in 1997 and has taught communications since 2000. Since 2015, Dr. Robinson has been the chair of the Department of Black Studies at UNO. Merging her two disciplines of Black Studies and Communication Studies, Dr. Robinson's research areas are race, cultural identity, cultural communication, and interpersonal relationships. Her doctoral research, Communicating Black Female Beauty, focused on the impact of race on Black female beauty perceptions. Her current research project is entitled Black Males, Black Female Beauty, and the Color Complex. Do skin color and hair really matter? More closely, her research more closely examines how skin color and hair texture affects Black males' perceptions of Black females' beauty. So Dr. Robinson was not able to be here with us today, but accepting the award on her behalf is Janet Ashley.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today is graduation day out at UNO, and Dr. Robinson had to be there, but I'm accepting it on her behalf, and she is definitely grateful and thankful to all of you thinking about her. And for all of you in the room, please, if I don't get a chance to see you, we want to reach out because Black Studies is the only Black Studies department in the region. And we can play an important role, and Dr. Robinson has done a phenomenal job since 2015 in bringing the curriculum current, okay, up to date, and really trying to squash a lot of the racism that happens on that campus. She's been doing a phenomenal job, and now she's positioned the department to be able to reach out to the community because we know education is key. That's where we're lacking there. And so we want to make a difference. So Dr. Robinson wants you all to know, please take an opportunity to get to know us, and we want to know you.
I think we have one final award.
Thank you. Which one is this? Oh, she passes. I'm here to present the Shabazz Courage Award. The Shabazz Courage Award acknowledges an individual who has been key in encouraging both social and academic change, progress, and shown exemplary courage to ignite change in their community. This award is going to Brother John Jackson. John Jackson was born in Winchester, Virginia, but moved to Minneapolis, Minnesota as an infant. He was actively raised in his church and taught work ethic, family values, and godly love from his parents, Robert and H.R. Jackson. Growing up in a big family had its challenges, of course, but he learned very early the importance of sharing, caring, and support. This was only reinforced by his spiritual upbringing. John graduated with his bachelor's degree in English education with a minor in urban education. It was during his tenure as a teacher at Edison High School in Minneapolis that he created what was then called a club called the Black Student Leadership Council, BSLC. It was evident to him that Black students of the diaspora needed a place where they could convene, commune, and collaborate with those who shared the same ethnic and historical background. John moved to Omaha in 2016 with his wife, Roxanne, his 2 daughters, Rebecca and Charity. He came to teach at Omaha North High School and quickly helped his students form the first Omaha chapter of the Black Student Leadership Council, much like the model he established in Minneapolis. What started as 3 or 4 students quickly grew into over 100 students within a 2-year span. In 2021, BSLC was registered as a nonprofit corporation in the state of Nebraska. BSLC now has 5 chapters and is looking to expand in the next school year. It's not a school club. Rather, it is meant to serve as a community organization that allows Black students of the diaspora a space to exercise themselves in the 7 principles of the Nguzo Saba and fulfill our credo, unearthing our past, planting in our present, and forging our future. Unfortunately, Mr. Jackson could not be here today, so in his place we have Randy Smith accepting his award.
Good afternoon. I'd like to start off with honoring the birthplace of all mankind with Ode to Alkebulan. Alkebulan, the ancient name of Africa, the mother of mankind, the Garden of Eden. By reclaiming the stolen legacy of indigenous origins, I honor my African programming, amongst other things, to remember the legacy of Malcolm X. Personally, I feel if there was anyone to deserve this award, it would be Mr. Jackson. For as long as I've known Mr. Jackson, he's been a community leader and a man rooted in values. He founded the Black Student Leadership Council, which is an organization where students are taught to African history, culture, and contributions to develop leadership and cultivate character. Our mantra, unearthing our past, planting in our present, and forging on our future. BSOC was not only an escape from the world where I felt out of place at times, but it enhanced my knowledge, my leadership skills, it emphasized my networking abilities, and it made me grow more confident with being a Black man. I remember last year during a visit to this foundation, Mr. Jackson had said if there was anyone in history that he could meet, it would be Malcolm X, going on to say that he could listen to him speak for hours. What I had taken away from the visit was how people against Brother Shabazz distorted his words so much to the fact that our school curriculums paint him as violent or dangerous. It baffled me how much truth I didn't know, and it frustrated me that this is still an issue. I say all that to say I will continue to expand my knowledge on the legacy and teachings of Malcolm. I'd like to thank Malcolm and Betty Shabazz for the contributions they made for our community's sake, and I'd like to thank Mr. Jackson for allowing me to represent him for this honorable moment. Lastly, happy birthday, Malcolm, and rest in power. One final thing Mr. Jackson would like me to encourage you to do is follow us, BSOC, on Facebook at Black Student Leadership Council of Omaha and on Instagram at Black Student Leadership Omaha. Thank you.
All right, congratulations to all of our recipients. Will you please give everybody a round of applause? Give yourselves a round of applause for hanging in there. We went a little over time, but thank you so much for coming and joining us. Thank you to our panelists for a wonderful discussion today. Thank you to everyone, the team. On behalf of our Executive Director, Joanna, and my fellow board members, we just want to remind you of the events that are still going on this weekend. Tomorrow, there will be the play performance of The Meeting by Jeff Stetson here from 6 to 8 p.m. And on Sunday, the reentry panel will be here from 2 to 4. If you have time, please fill out your Malcolm X interest form, whether you have information, connections, resources, or referrals for us, or if you would like to be a sustaining donor. Again, you all have a wonderful weekend. We hope to see you come back. Thank you so much for spending your afternoon with us. God bless you.